For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Voluntary starvation. How the Minnesota experiment ended in 1944 during World War II. Surprisingly, many victims didn't die from bullets and bombs. Instead, they suffered one of the most terrifying fates imaginable: death by starvation. The cause was a severe shortage of supplies due to destroyed crops and damaged food supply lines. During the siege of Leningrad, over 1,000 people died each day from hunger. Yet starvation was observed in the most unexpected places, such as Minneapolis, Minnesota. In 1944, 36 young men took part in the starvation experiment conducted by Dr. Ansel Keys. Purpose of the experiment: Ansel Keys headed the Laboratory of Physiological Hygiene at the University of Minnesota. He had already gained some fame for developing K-rations, dried meal packs for American soldiers. Born in Colorado, USA, Ansel Benjamin Keys was an American physiologist who studied the health effects of nutrition. He particularly hypothesized that saturated fats in food contributed to cardiovascular disease and should be avoided. In addition to publishing The Biology of Human Starvation, which remains the most comprehensive source on the subject, Keys studied the origins of heart disease and designed two diets, the K-ration and the Mediterranean diet, which he and his wife actively promoted. In short, science, nutrition, and health were at the heart of his life and career. Keys' idea for a starvation experiment stemmed from his deep interest in nutrition. Though millions were starving in Europe, very few doctors knew how to properly rehabilitate the malnourished, as there was virtually no scientific data on the subject. Keys convinced the military that his research would be invaluable. Practical methods of recovery could improve public health and support democratic rebuilding in post-war Europe. The course of the study: Keys' research plan was simple. First, bring the participants close to physical exhaustion, then bring them back to health. To ensure a controlled, scientific approach, the year-long starvation experiment was divided into 3 phases. The first 3 months were the control phase, normal, identical diets for all, followed by 6 months of semi-starvation, and finally 3 months of refeeding and rehabilitation. The participants were volunteers, many of whom refused military service on ethical or religious grounds. Many were members of the historic peace churches, Quakers, Mennonites, and Brethren. Keys' team prepared pamphlets for these idealistic young men, featuring sad children staring at empty plates, captioned, "Will you starve so they can be better fed?" The campaign worked. Keys offered no financial reward and warned of the dangers of prolonged starvation. Yet over 400 people applied. Many of the applicants had been doing hard, low-skilled work like road repairs in rural areas and saw this as a chance to contribute to humanity. After reviewing each application, Keyes selected 36 young men who seemed physically and mentally fit for the ordeal. They arrived in Minneapolis in November 1944 and were housed in a large dormitory beneath the university's football stadium, where Keyes temporarily relocated his lab. The starvation phase and its effects during the 12-week control phase. The men ate identical meals totaling 200 calories daily. Keyes collected extensive health data: heart size, blood volume, hearing, vision, fitness, body fat, and even sperm counts. Participants also stayed physically active, working in the lab and walking at least 22 kilometers per week. On February 12, 1945, Keyes slashed their calorie intake to just 570 per day. The starvation phase began. The men ate only twice daily, with meals primarily composed of carbs: potatoes, cabbage, pasta, and whole wheat bread, similar to wartime European diets. Protein was minimal. Despite the reduced intake, the men maintained an active lifestyle. The impact was immediate. Participants grew weak and constantly tired. Strength levels dropped by 21%. Psychologically, they became apathetic. Once they had talked about politics, romance, and sex. Now food dominated every conversation. Some obsessed over cookbooks, staring at food photos with near pornographic fascination. Irritability and aggression became common, especially if meals were delayed or dining lines were long. Despite the bland food, the men savored every bite. Some added water to meals to increase volume and trick their stomachs. Keyes allowed unlimited chewing gum, water, and black coffee. Some men chewed up to 40 packs of gum and drank 15 cups of coffee daily. The psychological strain stunned Keyes. Participants began sneaking food. He had to assign guards to monitor them. One 24-year-old, Franklin Watkins, suffered more than most. He had cannibalistic nightmares and binged on milkshakes and ice cream during unsupervised city trips. When confronted, he broke down crying, then threatened to kill Keyes and himself. He was hospitalized briefly, but recovered rapidly after resuming normal eating. Another participant was also removed for similar psychological distress. Physiological changes: all participants started at a healthy weight, about 70 kgs, 154 lbs. As the starvation phase progressed, they quickly wasted away. Keyes documented every physiological change. Average resting heart rate dropped from 55 to 35 beats per minute. The body went into energy-saving mode, slowing metabolism. Bowel movements occurred just once a week. Blood volume shrank by 10%, and heart size diminished. Due to water retention, participants developed swelling in the face, knees, and ankles. Their skin became rough, and many experienced dizziness, muscle aches, poor coordination, tinnitus, and unnaturally white eyes due to constricted blood vessels. One of the most uncomfortable symptoms for the men was the loss of fat padding. They couldn't sit on hard surfaces without pain and felt constantly cold. Vision remained stable, but hearing surprisingly improved. Keyes experimented with vitamin and protein supplements, but they proved useless. Those consuming the fewest calories did not recover. Ultimately, Keyes concluded that full recovery required at least 4,000 calories per day. The end of the experiment, the starvation phase, ended on October 20th, 1945. The men were finally free to eat as they pleased. Some stayed in the lab for further observation during an unrestricted rehabilitation period. Keyes noted that they consumed more than 5,000 calories daily, yet still felt insatiably hungry for months. In 1950, Ansel Keys published a massive two-volume report titled The Biology of Human Starvation, the most comprehensive scientific study of hunger's effects to date. Keyes' work revealed how dramatically starvation affects both body and mind. But it also showed that hunger, while devastating, does not cause permanent damage to human health if proper nutrition is restored.